What is up, you guys? Marty McFly coming at you, bringing you guys the merch. I wanted to do a vinyl and CD haul for you guys because I think it's been a while since we've actually done a full one, and I know we did one recently, but I think this is a pretty good one. So I just got back from Tampa, Florida, and I had this whole trip planned around. I was supposed to go to Salem at the beginning of last week during my allotted vacation time, and then I was supposed to go to Tampa this previous weekend. So the point was to go down to Tampa, go to Clearwater, Safety Harbor, go see a bunch of my friends, go do some stuff. We were supposed to go to the Safety Harbor Beer Festival, which was unfortunately canceled due to destruction by Hurricane Helene. And now, because of a little storm known as Hurricane Milton coming up, my trip to Tampa was unfortunately cut very, very, very short. And I got to see some friends, but it was very short-lived, unfortunately. But I was very grateful. I got to spend an evening with some very close friends of mine, people who I consider to be family. And of course, go record shopping. And I think Hurricane Helene did do a lot of damage. It did some damage to Safety Harbor, Clearwater, St. Pete. All up and down that west coast took quite a bit of damage. And I think that honestly that's an understatement considering how much it's done across the country and the southeast especially. I mean, between Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida, it's awful. I mean, it's done more even going up north from there in Hurricane Helene. I just hope we can find a way to recover from this and maybe find some solace and reconnect and maybe realize the problems that we're currently undergoing. Obviously, you can't prevent a storm from happening, but we can certainly change some things the way we handle things. And my heart goes out to all those families that were deeply affected by this storm, families here in Florida and the southeast and everywhere in between. It's just seeing the calamity of what happened in North Carolina with the mudslides. I was able to get in contact with some of my friends. They did lose cell service for quite a long time, but they are doing okay, thankfully. And now, unfortunately, we have the next big storm coming up, and that is Hurricane Milton. And he is going to strike tomorrow, and he's going to wall up the west coast and go all the way across the state of Florida to the east coast. It is slowing down, speeds are calming down, but all we can do at this point is pray, hang on to one another, stay prepared, stay ready, evacuate when you can evacuate if it's not too late. And I supremely hope that if people do have problems from the storm, that they can get help when they need it, and that help is on the way when they need it. It's things like this that really do make us be a little bit more grateful for the things we have, especially as Americans or Floridians. Especially, I'm a lot more grateful for what I have now, especially, as time's gotten older and I've seen the things that can happen to families and happen even in the hospital, and it's awful. It really is. And I really hope Hurricane Milton doesn't do as much catastrophic destruction as as we're anticipating. And I really hope that maybe even when the storm does go through, not as many people get harmed or maimed or killed like the last storm that just came through. Obviously, the ultimate goal is just bring everyone back safe in one piece once the storm calms down. I hope everybody's prepared. I hope we don't lose homes like we did last time. So many people are losing the only place they've ever known. There's people that have lived in Florida their entire lives who've never lost their house, and now you have a lot of people without a home, without a car, without family members. It's awful. It is truly, truly terrible. And as a lifelong Floridian, even this storm scares me a little bit. So all I can do is pray, keep my fingers crossed. I hope everyone is prepped, evacuated, taking care of themselves, taking care of their family members, securing what needs to be secured. All my fellow co-hospital friends, co-fellows, residents, doctors, nurses, techs, janitors, the cafeteria lady that never charged me for coffee when I had like 5 cents in my meal stipend. All those people out there, thank you for everything that you do, and I really hope that we can come out through this storm in one piece and intact. Alright? So that's enough for that for right now. I'm always here. I'm always here on YouTube, so if you want to reach out, if you have questions, if you just want to talk, if you want to just talk about the trauma that these hurricanes have caused on you, I'm always here. I'm all ears. Always happy to talk. So I did make a trip to Tampa, and I visited some of my favorite record stores. I also visited one of my favorite record stores back home, and that's at Savvy Vinyl. That's in Northern Florida, and I don't live there, but definitely got a lot of close friends in Melbourne that make Melbourne feel like home to me. And visited some of my friends over there in Melbourne as well. So we got merch. We got merch to talk about. So let's start from the ground up. So there is a wonderful CD and record store in Clearwater called the Clearwater Record Store. Very simple. They always give you a bunch of stickers, and I slap them everywhere I can in my house. And their CD selection for heavy metal is fantastic, and they do charge you a little bit for their used stuff. Now, if they have a gem, they know they have a gem, and they are going to charge a little bit more for these used CDs, which you don't, you know, some stores you just like, hey, everything's $5, take what you can take. Like if you go to Easy Street Records in Seattle and you go to the used CD bins, which are amazing. First and only time I ever went to Seattle, I spent $300 on CDs and records and stuff, which probably even a little bit more. And the volume of CDs I came back, everything in Easy Street Records was $5. And to this day, it's one of my favorite memories, especially from coming back there. Now, this place, though, they are going to charge you. If they know they have a gem, yeah, they're going to charge you a little more. I haven't seen anything too bad. Nothing. I did see one CD. I think that was like 18 or 20 bucks. I was like, all right. However, this is a gem. This is what I think of when I think of CD gems. This is the second record from Heaven Shall Burn. This is Whatever It May Take. This is not the repress with the rose cover. This is the OG German press. Really, really happy to have this. This is off of Life Force Records, and this came out in 2002. So the very last track, which I really liked, so they actually have the classic version of Implore the Darkest Sky. You have the original press, which is very melodic guitars and mostly screaming, but then they do the classic version at the very end, which actually has absolutely beautiful, clean vocals on it. I was so shocked to see this. I don't see this anywhere. I mean, yeah, you can probably get them on Amazon, you can probably get them on eBay, and you're probably going to pay a small fortune for them. I don't know what it goes for currently, but for $8, I was like, oh, that's coming home with me. Yes, thank you. This is, of course, the German... God, they've... You know, I hate characterizing bands now, because everyone's going to get offended in some way. If you listen to old Heaven Shall Burn, I'm going to go ahead and say they're death metal and melodic death metal. Absolutely, bar none. Not even a question. I was kind of mad because Wikipedia called them metalcore. I'm like, that's not nice. Don't do that. Granted, I love metalcore bands, but I would not call them metalcore in any way, shape, or form. They have melodic elements. They have a lot of melodic guitars. Occasionally, they do some singing. Markus Bischoff, who's the lead singer from Heaven Shall Burn, of course. They have done some like techno-ish songs in the past, and one of my favorite versions that they did, they actually used the lead singer of Deadlock, female vocalist, and she actually did that. So, you know, woo. Anyway, this is Heaven Shall Burn, German melodic death metal. This is Whatever It May Take, 2002, came out on Life Force Records. Phenomenal CD, phenomenal record. So glad I have this. This is one of the few Heaven Shall Burn CDs I don't have. Now, I do have the Split Program, Part 2. Don't have Split Program, Part 1. Essentially, the only thing I'm missing at this point is the Sunder, which I'm sure if I went online, I could probably find and pay for it. It's probably going to cost a small fortune, but I was really glad to have this, and I was really glad at least they didn't rip me off on the price. It's very affordable. I think this is a fair price, especially to finally get a copy of this. Very happy. You do have to be careful, though. If you're a record hunter, be careful with the CDs in Clearwater Record Store. Their vinyl's great. Now, if they have a gem, they're going to charge you for it. I'm not going to even lie to you. If they have a gem, they will charge you for it. I've seen records in there go 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 bucks for the Clearwater Record Store. Thankfully, this CD was affordable. But now there's CDs, you got to be careful. You got to check to make sure the CD's in there because they're not going to check for you. And you got to make sure you didn't get the Walmart edited version. My buddy, he really wanted 2 Limp Bizkit CDs just to have in his collection and keep in the car. And both of them were the Walmart edited versions, and he just had no idea. And I don't think the band or the record store owners really check either. And they were both like $8, like. So we popped them in the car because, you know, sing along. We've been listening to those CDs for ages. And of course, both of them, unfortunately, were the edited versions. And if you know anything about a Slipknot record and you're trying to edit that, good grief. It was awful. So just be careful. It's a great store. The guys are really nice. They'll talk to you about anything. One of the older guys is there. He'll talk to you about blues, jazz. He'll talk to you about anything. And, like, they're very knowledgeable. They know their stuff. And they usually give me money back for the CDs or store credit, whichever. So it's pretty cool to actually finally have a copy of this. Next one I got was something I was very surprised to see on the rack. I don't see this very often, and I know my brother has a copy of it, but this band, it kind of fell off for me because I think they got so overly bombastic and operatic that I eventually just kind of stopped listening to them, which is not fair. Let's do this. Let's do that. Thank you. And I feel like the later this band got, the more bombastic and operatic they got. It was kind of annoying. But anyway, this is Serenity Fallen Sanctuary, my favorite record from them. This is off of Scarecrow Records. Now, the reason... Ooh, this actually comes with... It does. Okay, so this comes with an Oz Productions sampler. And I think the disc itself comes with a music video as well. Yeah, so the CD itself is one of those enhanced CDs and actually comes with a music video. Music videos for Volatum. Pretty awesome. That's track number 7, so it actually comes with a music video for this. The reason I love this band so much, because it's like power metal and everything that's like glorious about power metal mixed with like a lot of keyboards and a little bit of like opera background. Oh my gosh, you're gonna hate me, but the band itself is super talented, very technical musicians. They honestly do a fantastic job. They have so many guest vocalists on this record, and the melodies are so well made and so intentional and so perfect. I listened to this album 1,000 times. George Newhouser is the lead singer. He's actually in quite a few other bands as well. And I mean, it really is. It's just a fantastic album. I can't recommend it enough to you guys. So if you like power metal, if you like Hammerfall, if you like Halloween, and you like a little bit of keyboard and opera thrown in, if you like Sonata Arctica, if you like anything that came out of... I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Epica, because I think Epica can be a little overdone sometimes. If you like Epica, a little bit similar to them, but I would say without the craziness. I would say these songs are just well crafted, very intentional, very well written, and the melodies are perfect. So this is, of course, Serenity, Fallen Sanctuary. Can't recommend enough. Go check it. Now, something I've been looking for a long time. I think they actually had a copy of this in the store, and the first time I meant to pick this up, I put it back because I was in a rush, and then I instantly regret it because I couldn't find it anywhere. And I tried getting it online, and it was super expensive. And then I think they ended up repressing this, and I think that's why, but I finally found it again. Now, this is what I would say the big 4 of deathcore, and you know what? I mean, I'm not talking about modern deathcore. I'm not even talking about like everything that's big now. I'm talking about the big 4 of deathcore, the reason why we have deathcore music today. And this is the 6-piece, 2 lead singers, if you know them. Despised icon, The Healing Process. This came out in 2005, Century Media Records. These are, I will be not accepting suggestions at this time. This is the big 4 of deathcore right here. If you don't have these guys, you don't have modern deathcore. Obviously next to Whitechapel, and you know what? Yeah, no, this is it. If you don't have these guys, I would say these guys are like the progenitors of what we have for deathcore today. You can look into their influences, what those guys were listening to at that time when they were still creating their band. They even had a female singer for a while. But if you listen to what they're listening to, I mean, you have stuff like Deadwater Drowning, which is a phenomenal deathcore act. And I wish they were still together, still playing tunes at this point. But these guys are the reason why we have deathcore today. And, you know, not including, obviously, you know, we have like Whitechapel, we have stuff like that. And Carnifex, but this is a phenomenal record by them. Every song on here is good. It's all heavy. It's all grindy. There's pig squeals. It's whatever you want in a deathcore album. I wish I could go to say which song is my favorite. I really don't know. I mean, I liked As Bridges Burn a lot. And I think I have all their records now, except for obviously I don't have the OG presses, but this is The Healing Process, Despised Icon, deathcore. You love it. It's good. It's got pig squeals. It's got death vocals. You got, what's his name? Is it Alex? Yeah, I think it's Alex. He's the one that's doing kind of like the faster vocals in this record. And I don't know if I can show you guys a picture, but this is, of course, the extended artwork. You got the band picture right there. Great band. The reason why we have deathcore for today. It's not melodic, not yet. Even if you go to like the last 2 albums, I would say they're like pushing the melodic envelope as far as their guitars are sound, or the cleanliness of their sound. They're still doing pig squeals. They're still doing like kind of like the rapping vocals, but just killer breakdowns from beginning to end. A lot of highs, a lot of lows. Great band. Check them out. And then last but not least, well, of course, until I dropped all of it, the band that really needs no introduction. And of course, this is the one that the store charged a little bit more for. And it is what it is. This band, who has influenced basically every modern death metal band at this point, Band that I've seen more times than I care to count. I have multiple shirts from them. It's definitely like a merchandise band, and I'm sure you already know what I'm talking about when I said that. But this band is just so easy and fun to collect for. Cannibal Corpse, Gore Obsessed. This is the alternate cover. And of course the store, you know, Clearwater Record Store, they knew what they had. They weren't messing around. They knew exactly what they had. That's why it's, you know, $16. Cannibal Corpse OG records are actually really hard to find because they are edited and made such short supply, and they're banned from so many countries. If you can get your hands on earlier CDs, pick them up instead of waiting for like a repress. If you can get one because they go for a lot of money. But of course, Cannibal Corpse, originally from Buffalo, moved to Tampa. More Sound Studios, you know how it goes. This is Gore Obsessed, arguably one of my favorite Cannibal Corpse albums, and I actually really, you know, I like the brutal covers because it says a statement about the band, but I do like the alternate covers as well. I think this is one of the better alternate covers that they had. I also like the Tomb of the Mutilated alternate cover. I think that one's like really dark and demonic and terrifying. And we lost it, but of course we have George, the rest of the band. Really excited to have this because I did not have this on CD, and I know like it had been, you know, you probably pick this up on Amazon, get the repress, it's fine. But, you know, to get the classic, especially from Metal Blade Records, Cannibal Corpse, pretty excited to have this. This was actually done by Neil Kernan, if I'm not mistaken, when they actually produced this. And, I mean, every song on here is awesome. Everyone knows Pit of Zombies, Hatchet to the Head. You've heard that one live probably a couple times. I mean, everything on here is fantastic. Mutilation of the Cadaver, Grotesque, Savage Butchery. The first 3 tracks I think are probably the most popular off of this record, but fantastic album, really glad, and I'm actually kind of excited that I got the alternate cover. Pretty cool to have, but yeah, I did pay for it, that's for sure. Those guys weren't messing around. They knew exactly what they had. So moving on down to Savvy Vinyl in Melbourne, Florida, a record store that I recently just checked out. The people in there are super nice. It's run by a daughter and her mother. If you check one of my shorts, they actually do, if you say you're a new customer, they do a whole introduction for you, and they're going to embarrass you, and I love that. That brings a lot of charm. But everybody in the Melbourne area that's into records knows this record place because if they have gems, they are going to charge you for it, but they're really, really good about store credit and cash and all that. They do consignment. They really are amazing with how much they give you back. And they get some rare stuff. I would not say that their metal collection is that good. They're very limited. But they do have a guy that does consignment. He comes over from England all the time. He brings back a lot of European press, like Iron Maiden and stuff. He brought back a Shades of God by Paradise Lost, which... it was a first press, Shades of God by Paradise Lost. Really wanted it, but they wanted $60 for it, which is honestly not that bad. I just wasn't prepared to spend $60. But I brought back a record I didn't listen to anymore. And I ended up with something that I've been on the hunt for a very, very long time. Now, part of my family is originally from Lithuania. So, of course... if you look at Scourge of Vinyl's page, he actually did a video about this band. And when first time I heard Lithuanian death metal, I'm like, there's a Lithuanian death metal band? Okay, let's go check it out. Crypts of Despair, Lithuanian death metal, 2017 German press. This record has actually like come up quite a few times on the internet recently, and I just had to have it. When I listen to them, they're actually very, very talented, excellent band, and it's just pure death metal. There's no frills, but it is excellent death metal, a little bit of melody in there. The sound is very, very clean. It's very articulate. Very talented guys. And I had to have it, so I brought back a couple records. I think after that, I was able to get this pretty cheap, get the price down quite a bit. Very excited to have this. Everything on here is great, but this is The Stench of the Earth by Crypts of Despair. Let me pull out this is the inside cover for you guys. Title tracks. Everything on here is awesome. Stench of the Earth, Path to Vengeance, Fleshless Eternity, Pets of Endless Torment, Deadlight, the final track. Everything on here is incredible. Standard issue Black Vinyl, custom center rings. Really, really happy to have this. And these guys did not disappoint. It's dark. It's dungeony, cavernous. It is what it is, what you want in a death metal record. There's not a lot of melody in it. Like, it stays dark, and it stays that way for the rest of the record, but it is a blast to listen to cover to cover. So, of course, thank you to the guys at Savvy Vinyl. Really glad I was able to pick this up. Now, this I did not know they were doing vinyl presses for up until, I think, last year. Last year, I went to this place called Smart Punk Vinyl in Orlando. They sadly just closed their doors. I think they are still doing online at this point, but if you talk to them, they'll even admit like their parking lot was terrible. There's potholes. You'll wreck your car. I almost wrecked my car trying to get it in through that horrible parking lot that they're built in. And you know, I get it. The rising prices, it's impossible to afford anything, especially in the UCF area, even for a very successful record store like those guys. And this is the first time I saw this band on vinyl, and I was like, I kind of need it. And I waited, and next thing you know, they're sold out everywhere, of course. That's usually how it goes. But this band was, when I heard them when I was in high school, changed how I viewed music. Like, as far as like punk and hardcore and stuff. Of course, as soon as I started listening to this band, I had to have every CD by them. They recently released another album after they announced a breakup. They have a couple EPs out. They released another record just recently, and I hate the cover because it's actually a great album. I really do. The new cover, I can't stand. I don't even like looking at it. It like, one, it creeps me out. It looks like Sam Smith on a bender after he just did a bunch of meth. That's the only way I can explain that cover. And go look at that cover of that last record. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And this band, though, just did everything for me. So in my hometown, we had a band called Bravo Armada. Hardcore, melodic hardcore with a little bit of metalcore and like pop. I wouldn't even call it pop punk. There's like a smidgen of pop punk in there, but I really just call it like straight up like melodic punk maybe mixed in. But those guys were so freaking talented. I got their CD. A good friend of mine, Kerry Schrage, was the drummer. He does a lot of stuff on his own now. Go check him out on Instagram, Kerry Schrage. And these guys all grew up in my hometown, and every chance we would get a chance to go see them in high school, we'd go see Bravo Armada play. And when I... Oh, good. Oh, good. That's the fire alarms. They've gone off for like the 18th time today. I freaking hate Hall. For the love of God. Anyway, side note. This band, though, heavily influenced our band in high school, Bravo Armada. And the first track, I was like, man, I know I've heard this before. And of course it was because it sounded like these guys. Alexis on Fire. This is Watch Out. This is their second full-length record from Alexis on Fire. Now you know what I mean. When you go to their final record, you go check it out and you're like, oh, good Lord, it does look like Sam Smith on a bender after he just did a bunch of meth. And this is one of my favorite records by them. People would argue that this is their best. I don't know. I'm not even getting into that debate because I love all their albums. I really do. Every single one of their albums just hits a different note for me. I loved Crisis. The very first record's incredible, especially the final track. Oh, so good. And Young Cardinals, Old Crow's Young Cardinals is fantastic as well. Can't recommend it enough. But this album, I remember I finally got to go see them play at Warped Tour, and of course they opened up with the first track of this album. Here's the inner sleeve. They opened up with Accidents, which is definitely top 3 of my favorite Alexis on Fire tracks. Fantastic, can't recommend them enough. And the whole album's fantastic. I love, if it's not Accidents, then it's definitely the finishing song, which is Happiness by the Kilowatt, which is just it's just a beautiful song. And when Alexis on Fire was kind of taking a break, then you ended up with Death Letter, which is basically all acoustic and piano versions of some of their songs. And when they released Death Letter, they did a piano acoustic version of Happiness by the Kilowatt, which is an absolute tearjerker. It is so beautiful and well done. And then, you know, the band took a break. We were pretty bummed because they didn't get back together for a long time. I will say, though, we had a little bit of Alexis on Fire in between because you had their main vocalist, which is George, and they have Dallas Green, which does all the cleans, but he also plays guitars as well. And Dallas Green's side band, they did a lot of Alexis on Fire tracks, and that was a nice way to get to hear him. And I think that also escalated his popularity. Dallas is a very bluesy, jazzy singer. You can definitely tell in the chords he picks, but fantastic singer, great piano player and musician. And at least there you got to hear some Alexis on Fire tracks. But this is a band that had a huge impact on me. I love this record. I love this band. Alexis on Fire. Watch out. Next up, this is a gift from my brother man, from another mother man. This is from my buddy Logan. I was very, very grateful he gave this to me. This is like an early birthday present, and every year we do birthday exchanges, we do Christmas exchanges as well. Usually we'll try to do like a beer night, or we'll try to do like a night where we go out and go record hunting together. So I went record hunting with him in Tampa this time, and unfortunately it got cut really short due to Milton. Darn Milton. And this is an album that I think when I first got him into Architects, and I really kind of pushed the band Architects on him, and he started getting into them, he found their own songs that I really, really liked. This was the first time him and I went to go see a show together, and Architects would just release this record, and that was on a Rising Empire Records. This, of course, is Daybreaker by Architects. And, you know, what I liked about this and those middle records by them, they were still very much Architects, where they had influences, but they were their own genre at that point. And I think with now, unfortunately, with Architects, we're starting to see that, you know, unfortunately after Searle died, they lost a lot of those clean guitar leads and those really melodic guitar moments, because he was the one that was writing all those parts on, you know, rest in peace. It was really a heartbreaking moment for the community, the heavy metal community, and then obviously, because his brother's in the band, and that he had been in the band for ages. But I'm very, very happy to have this album, because this album has a lot of amazing tracks on it. The ending song is beautiful, melodic. It's got this big anthemic and a cappella ending to it, and it's really is incredible. It's of course Unbeliever, but this song's got a lot of tracks that were like big singles for them. These Colors Don't Run, Alpha Omega, Even If You Win You're Still a Rat. They got some guest vocals on here. They got 2 songs with guest vocals. And if you go see them live, there's a part where they go, "You fucking pigs!" Blah! So the big blah is in this album as well. If you're an Architects fan, you've probably heard the blah a few times. My introduction to blah was actually with Caliban, way before I even started listening to Architects. Way before even blah was like really a big thing, because Caliban was doing blah before everybody, you know, before a lot of bands were. This is the inner sleeve, and it's absolutely, I mean, it's terrifying, but I love the cover. That is awesome. I kind of like that more than I like the actual cover, but that's what actually holds your disc. And then we have this beautiful marbled gray clear, and that is what the record looks like. Fantastic. Another gift from my brother man, from another mother man, Logan. This was kind of like a little parlay, and we basically just were doing a big trade, and then this was his trade to me. Creed Greatest Hits. You know, Creed's really taken off, especially since Major League Baseball, a couple teams, you know, especially with, like, it was like, I think it was Texas's team that put it into their celebration, and Creed has really taken off since then. They just did a massive tour. Unfortunately, I missed this, but this has got all the important songs on it. I mean, if you're listening to Creed and you want to get back into them, it's got everything on them. It's got Torn, it's got My Own Prison, it's got Are You Ready, it's got Higher with Arms Wide Open, it's got What If, it's got One Last Breath, and of course, and My Sacrifice. Of course, My Sacrifice and Weathered. I basically just announced the whole CD, but my favorite track on this, and probably my favorite Creed song, is Bullets, and of course, that's on here. So, if you know Creed, you know that album. This video is pretty long, sorry about that, guys, but at least we got some cool stuff to talk about. Now, for a gem of gems, and I think this was actually a radio promo press, because they took a chip out of it. And usually when you get that chip, it usually means there's like a radio promo press. But hailing from Tampa, Florida, one of the reasons why Tampa, Florida has such a great metal scene and still does to this day, Sabotage, Power of the Night, first press. I was so happy to have this. Now granted, there is the chip, and unfortunately they put the, I hate when they do that, they put the sticker right on there, and I'm trying to get it off, but I don't want to rip it too bad. I don't mind if it's beaten up. I like records that are beaten up. It kind of makes it kind of fun, and it tells a story of like longevity of like how long it's been around. But I mean, you come look at this and look how old these labels are. It's all yellowed out. Of course, we got the record custom center rings. Fantastic. Of course, this is off of Atlantic Records. This is one of Savage's earlier records. The way I got into Sabotage was actually Fight for the Rock. I know some people didn't like it because it was too mainstream. It sounded more glam. Not to me. I mean, good grief. There's a couple songs in there that are heavy as shit. And just absolutely fantastic album. Of course, Sabotage, Power of the Night. You have John Oliva. This is Chris Oliva. Rest in peace, Chris Oliva. Rest in peace, Paul O'Neill. A lot of great tracks on here. There's even... oh, man. There's even a song called Necrophilia. That's awesome. But this is definitely some of their heavier work right at the beginning of, beginning of Sabotage, like Dungeons of Calling era. This is fantastic. This might actually go into frame. Obviously, I'm going to play it, but I think this needs to be framed. What do you think? So, Sabotage, Power of the Night. Very happy to have it. One more record for you guys and we'll be done. I just realized this whole video went to 30 minutes. Now, I've been on an adventure to collect everything that's banned. I don't like paying a whole ton for represses, but this is... when I bought the CD, I was very, very glad to have it, and I'm actually pretty happy to get the vinyl. It's 2 LPs, 180 gram vinyl. This was kind of like that return of Metallica. Well, you know, even like Death Magnetic as well, but a lot of people were very, very happy about this record when it came out, and I agree. I mean, I love Death Magnetic. I think Death Magnetic is still a better record overall, but I was very glad to have this, especially for a reasonable, affordable price. And this is from Kingfish Records in Clearwater, Florida. Metallica, Hardwired to Self-Destruct. I don't have this. I have the most recent, I have Death Magnetic, I have quite a few of their albums, excluding Saint Anger. No reason to buy it, I didn't enjoy that record that much. But I was actually very happy to have the 180 gram full press of this. The songs are pretty long. There's a couple short, nice ones on there. But I think it was just a fun album. You know, I mean, especially where these guys are at, age group wise. Do I think our drumming could be a little better? Yeah. Especially this last record. I feel like our drummer just played on a drum machine the whole time. And good night, nurse. Anyway, sorry, Lars. I know it's, you know, I don't mean to talk crap about our heavy metal musicians, but I think Lars could have done a better job on the last record, but at least this one, it's not like they had fun. And I think that's what I like about this, especially Spit Out the Bone, a very notable track off this record. I think they just had fun, and I think that's what I loved about this album. They just had a good time. And I'm very glad to have it. You know, it's kind of completes part of like the collection for them. I have most of their stuff. There's still some stuff I'm looking out there for, but I got this over Kingfish Records over in Clearwater, Florida. Couldn't recommend them enough. And if you don't like their last record, I think maybe going back an album, at least the songs are a little bit shorter. They don't feel rushed. They don't feel like they're trying to push on too long. I think those songs are very succinct, and they're just a fun time. Anyway, that is it from me. Wow, 32 minutes to only do a handful. I hope you guys are doing okay out there. I hope you guys are taking care of each other. Please be safe during the storm. If you guys have questions, if you guys just want to reach out and talk on YouTube while you guys are all stuck inside your houses, your apartments, whatever, you want to just talk shop, it's fine by me. Again, please take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and peace.